free Palestine!
Free, 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 free Palestine!
From the river to the sea,
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea,
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
Free, free Palestine!
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 End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Bismillah, in the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Peace be upon you all. I welcome you as we stand here today, as we stand for truth, under God, for the just cause of Palestine. Our plan is to be here until prayer time, and we ask for you to join us at the end of the program. We'll begin tonight's program with blessings of a recitation from the Holy Quran by Brother Nuruddin. Please welcome him with a loud salawat ala wa
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فليقاتل في سبيل الله الذين يشرون الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة ومن يقاتل في سبيل الله فيقتل أو يغلب فسوف نؤتيه أجرا عظيما. وما لكم لا تقاتلون في سبيل الله والمستضعفين من الرجال والنساء والمستضعفين من الرجال والنساء والولدان الذين يقولون ربنا أخرجنا من هذه القرية ربنا أخرجنا من هذه القرية ربنا أخرجنا من هذه القرية للظالم أهلها واجعل لنا من لدنك وليا واجعل لنا من لدنك وليا واجعل لنا من لدنك نصيرا. الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت فقاتلوا أولياء الشيطان إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأن الساعة آتية لا ريب فيها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل.
Free, free Palestine!
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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. May God send blessings upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. May peace be upon you, O Aba Abdullah, O Imam al-Hussein, who taught us to stand against oppression, who taught us to stand in the face of the aggressor, even if we are alone, even if we are outnumbered, even if they have all of the resources, all of the weaponry, all of the media machine, that we stand as people knowing that God is in control. And if the oppressors are doing this, it is for a limited time, and God is allowing them to do this. But they will face a rude awakening the way they are facing one now. I begin in the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, who says in the Holy Quran in chapter 49, verse 13, that states, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. O humanity, indeed we created you from a male and a female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may get to know one another. Surely the most noble of you in the sight of God, Allah, is the most righteous among you. God is truly all-knowing, all-aware. And the same Lord who says to humanity in chapter 36, verse 60, أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ أَنْ لَا تَعْبُدُوا الشَّيْطَانَ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Did I not command you, O children of Adam, not to follow Satan? For he is truly your sworn enemy. I know everyone here and everyone watching may not be Muslim, but I begin with these verses to provide a backdrop to what I will speak about. That God created humanity to know one another, and the greatest of human beings is the one who obeys God the most, which would make them the most just, the most honest, the most kind, the most righteous. But God also warns to not obey the devil, because he has given human beings free will. He has given the human the capability to do great evil and even lie about it, to convince others the guilty are innocent and the innocent are guilty. I will discuss the following 4 points. The myth of Israel and who the real terrorists are. The American people and the lies and deception they have been fed regarding Israel. Number 3, if you have to lie as a Zionist to support your cause, what does that show? And 4, and finally, if you think Israel is going to bring back Jesus, may peace and blessings be upon his holy soul, you are right. But if you think Jesus, the blessed Son of the Virgin Mary, our beloved prophet and his holy mother, is going to be on the side of the Zionists and imperialists who are the modern day pharaohs, you are sadly mistaken. Point 1, the myth of Israel and who the real terrorists are. As Americans, the story is all too familiar. The very land we are standing on right now was stolen. In the same way Zionist militias went from village to village, town to town, and city to city, murdering Palestinians in cold blood, raping their women, killing their babies and children. A recent interview with elderly Israeli militiamen who were alive at the creation of the so-called State of Israel joked and laughed as he said, one of the militia members who was with him raped a 16-year-old girl. And excuse me for saying this. Another laughed as he said another Zionist Israeli militia member cut off the private parts of a Palestinian and put them in their mouth. And he was laughing. If you think this is graphic, disturbing, and hard to even hear, imagine experiencing it. Imagine being there. Imagine living through it. Imagine living through it for one day. Imagine living through it for 75 years. That is Palestine. When as kids in public schools in America, I myself went to the public schools in this country and went to university in this country. When as kids in public schools we learned about when American militias went through native land, village to village, and killed, exterminated, raped and pillaged Native Americans and sent them on the Trail of Tears. And these hypocrites have the audacity a few days ago to mark Indigenous Peoples Day when the Israelis continue to pillage the indigenous people of Palestine. This is the Nakba, in which Zionist militias went through Palestinian villages, towns, and cities, exterminating, killing, raping, and pillaging. And these are not my claims. This is an internationally recognized event. I ask you all to read the book, The General's Son, by Miko Piled. Miko Piled, whose grandfather signed the Israeli Declaration of Independence, whose father was a general in the Israeli army, and who was himself a member of the Israeli Special Forces, who earned a red beret, and after the 1982 invasion into Lebanon, and keep it in your mind that a certain organization was formed after 1982, and they didn't always exist, changed into a medic, and buried his service pin in the dirt. After initially believing the Zionist narrative, he was brave enough and pure-hearted enough that he sought to understand the truth about this issue, and he did. He said at first that facing the truth about Israel was as difficult as having his teeth pulled out without anesthesia. But he stuck to what he knew was right and could not turn away from the truth. He realized that the whole myth that the creation of the state of Israel was a miracle was false. He says in 1947 to 1948, there were 40,000 well-trained, well-indoctrinated Zionist soldiers, his father being one of them, who stole almost the entirety of the Palestinian land. He has stated that Israel has been on a mission to destroy the Palestinian people for over 6 decades. Why would anyone not give solidarity to the Palestinian people? And very, very importantly, he has stated that every single Israeli city is a settlement. The creation of so-called Israel was a coordinated military conquest which used all means necessary to accomplish its objectives, no matter how evil. If someone is to claim we are biased because we are Palestinian, Lebanese, Arabs, because we are Christian or Muslim, then what about this man who is from one of the most prominent Zionist families, who said in a speech on October 1st, 2012, 11 years and 12 days ago, which, and I quote, "The Israeli army
which I like to refer to as one of the best trained, best equipped, best fed terrorist organizations in the world. And yes, they have generals and they have nice uniforms, but their entire purpose is terrorism. And just as one example, because this theme about killing children seemed to have tickled the fancy of the Western media and their politicians. Just one example, and he's speaking in 2012. Almost 4 years ago today, so he was speaking about the attack on Gaza in 2008. As Israel began its attack, and I'm quoting him, as Israel began its attack on Gaza, September 27th, 2008, at 11:25 in the morning, what I refer to, this is him talking, as the most shameful day in the Jewish history, the most shameful day in the history of the Jewish people. Israel began carpet bombing Gaza, and on the first day of what would be a 21-day attack, they dropped 100 tons of bombs. He continues, a 1-ton bomb will decimate an entire city block. Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. 800,000 children live in Gaza. 11:25 is exactly the time the morning school shift and the afternoon school shift change. So all the kids are in the streets. All the children are in the streets. And this is a continuation of the quote. That was the moment decided by the decision makers in Israel to begin the attack. This was the first day of a 21-day slaughter that had absolutely no justification. If that is not terrorism, I do not know what is. And this is how the state of Israel manages to control the different populations and somehow keep up this sweet, liberal kind of face to everything. And another article of Miko's from over 10 years ago, which shows that we must reframe the minds of people to not see what's happening the way the war machine wants people to think about it. They want the world to see a conflict that is only a few weeks old, when in actuality, this is a decades-long genocide by Zionists of Palestinians. This article of Miko Piled's is from December 20th, 2011, 5 days before Christmas. This is describing from the famous Tamimi family. So he says in this article, Mustafa Tamimi from Nabi Saleh, Bahjat Zalan and his son Ramdan from Gaza died on my 15th birthday, and just a few days after, Newt Gingrich declared them an invented people. They were murdered by the Israeli terrorist organization, the IDF, an organization that is supported and funded by the US. One Israeli terrorist shot the invented Tamimi in the head with a tear gas canister, and another Israeli terrorist fired a rock that murdered the invented Zalan and his boy Ramadan. Both terrorists were educated and trained by Israel and armed by the United States. The Israeli terrorists are not invented but quite real, and they are safe, protected by the apartheid regime that trained and sent them on their missions, and the Israeli court system will make sure they are never brought to justice. This is how Israel's well-oiled ethnic cleansing machine operates. The Zionist ethnic cleansing of Palestine is not a thing of the past, but an ongoing campaign that is executed by three arms of the state of Israel: the education system, a dedicated bureaucracy, and the security forces. The education system is dedicated to indoctrinating and producing soldiers and bureaucrats who will execute and enforce the ethnic cleansing. The bureaucracy is charged with making rules that make life unlivable for Palestinians. Rules that restrict Palestinian access to their lands and restrict their ability to travel freely to work and school. The same bureaucracy then demands that Palestinians pay for permits to be allowed to do these very basic things they were denied. The security forces, the most obvious of which is the IDF, are charged with enforcing the restrictions, fighting off the resistance, armed or peaceful, and terrorizing the invented people of Palestine. Since my father was a general and I served as a soldier, and the IDF terrorist organization, people often ask me, how is it that Israeli children who are raised in a Western-style democracy become such monsters once they are in uniform? The detailed answer can be found in my book, The General's Son, but the short answer is this: education. Racism requires a mindset that is fashioned by education. And I apologize for quoting extensively, but it is necessary to understand these 10-minute TikToks, 10-second TikToks and quick clips are very important. But we need to understand the history and what happened here so we're able to defend against the media onslaught that is trying to confuse people. I continue. In order to rationalize and justify the ethnic cleansing to the Israeli education system portrays Palestinians as culturally inferior, violent, and bent on the annihilation of the Jews. Not Israel, but the Jews. And at the same time void of a true national identity. Palestinian national identity is but a figment of some imagination. Since Israeli kids never meet Palestinians, what they learn in school, particularly in the school textbooks, is all that they know. Palestinians are portrayed as an existential threat through absurd comparisons like that of Yasser Arafat to Hitler, the Palestinians to Nazis, and the Palestinian resistance to Al-Qaeda. Although the right of defense and resistance over one's life, family, and property, including armed defense and resistance, is a divinely recognized right by all of the authentic religions and all authentic prophets, such as Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, even the international community of varying faiths and creeds recognized in multiple United Nations resolutions. United Nations Resolution 45/130 from the year 1990 directly acknowledges the right of armed resistance generally, but this resolution is actually specifically and directly about the Palestinian resistance. It states, considering that the denial of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people to self-determination, sovereignty, independence, and return to Palestine, and the brutal suppression by the Israeli forces of the heroic uprising, the Intifada, of the Palestinian people in the occupied territories, as well as the repeated Israeli aggression against the population of the region, constitute a serious threat to international peace and security. After mentioning multiple Security Council and General Assembly resolutions, it then states, and calls upon all states to implement fully and faithfully all the resolutions of the United Nations regarding the exercise of the right to self-determination and independence by peoples under colonial and foreign domination. It reaffirms the legitimacy of the struggle of peoples for independence, territorial integrity, national unity, and liberation from colonial domination, apartheid, and foreign occupation by all available means, including armed struggle. And it continues on. In America, many people, especially those supportive of Israel, mention their pride and Second Amendment rights. This is to have your own weapons legally as a matter to defend yourself in your home. And although some are unfortunately blindly following the imperialist government of the United States, they claim that the Second Amendment is to protect from the tyranny of the United States government. So I ask these people, if you support armed resistance to a home invasion, what about a land invasion? What about the ethnic cleansing of your people? What about the theft of your water, food, and resources? The expulsion of your family to live as refugees? And the renaming of your cities? The destruction of every aspect of your life? And this just shows the confusion and the irony of the understanding of the American people on the issue of Israel and Palestine. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Free, free Palestine!
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 Point number 2. The American people and the lies and deception. God says in chapter 49, verse 6 of the Holy Quran, O believers, if a known wicked person brings you news, investigate to avoid harming people out of ignorance and later regret what you have done. I ask the American people, how many times has this system, this government lied to you? Not about small things, but huge things that affect every aspect of our lives. They will hide the fact that in June of 1967, a naval research vessel called the USS Liberty was attacked by the Israelis, killing 34 American soldiers and injuring over 170 American troops to get American forces to join the war. They lied about Vietnam and the Gulf of Tonkin false flag, which pulled the United States into a war, which caused the death of over 50,000 Americans. They lied about 9/11 and brand a conspiracy theorist anyone who simply questions the account given by the government. After it was exposed that they had a long history funding Osama bin Laden and the people they say allegedly carried out the attack. This so-called war on terror, which according to Brown University, has caused the deaths of over 940,000 people in the post-9/11 wars due to direct war violence. An estimated 3.6 to 3.8 million people have died indirectly in post-9/11 war zones. Over 1 million civilians in just Iraq have been killed as a result of the fighting. 38 million, the number of war refugees and displaced persons. The U.S. federal price tag, over $8 trillion. The U.S. government is conducting counter-terror activities in 85 countries. At least 4 times as many active duty personnel and war veterans of post-9/11 conflicts have died of suicide rather than combat. I ask, who's a real American citizen? Someone who supports sons and daughters of America to go fight a war for Wall Street, or people who want American sons and daughters to stay here with their families and not fight a war for corporate greed and imperialism? They will make up the most disgusting, twisted lies to justify their military aggression and imperialist agendas. One of the most recent examples of this was when Colin Powell, the then Secretary of State, in 2003, stood before the world leaders holding a vial of an unknown substance, saying that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which again, you guessed it, was another lie. And the United States is still, to this moment, in Iraq. And this community, we joke about putting too much oil over your hummus so America doesn't come and invade it. Year after year, lie after lie, no matter the deadly consequences and impacts, this government and this system of imperialism displays that it is not a one-off lie, but an MO, an operating procedure, a playbook-like scheme to accomplish its objectives. In 1992, a girl came to testify before the American government to justify the first Gulf War, when she claimed that Iraqi soldiers were pulling babies out of incubators and letting them die on the cold floor. This again was proven to be a lie. And just as the current president of the United States has claimed that the resistance in Palestine has beheaded over 40 babies, it was again proven to be another lie. As the martyr Malcolm X has stated, You're not to be so blind with patriotism that you can't face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or says it. So we must not be blindly listening to the news. Ask questions. Ask who is giving the paycheck to the pro-Israeli news anchors and stations. Ask who are the CEOs of these media institutions. What are their ties to the military-industrial complex who profits from war and suffering? What was their tie to the corporations who justify money for endless wars, but no money for us Americans? To have basic health insurance, to be able to afford medicine, to go to school without being in debt forever, to pay our bills with the ever-increasing costs of living, while the corporations and monopolies are making billions upon billions of dollars and their profits keep increasing. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! And the occupation! 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 Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Point number 3. If you have to lie to convince people to support you, by definition, that makes you on the wrong side. Because if people knew the truth, they would oppose you. If Israel has to lie to convince people to support it, it is on the wrong side. If people knew the truth or weren't too afraid to share it, they would oppose Israel. The irony is, the Zionists say that because of what Hitler did to the Jewish people in the Holocaust, because they were treated like animals, because they were killed and deemed less than human, that is why the entire world should support them. And it is exact contradiction that when the Zionist Israeli defense minister says they are fighting human animals when they talk about Palestinians, nobody calls that Nazism. Nobody says that the Zionist Israelis are Nazis. No media sources are saying anything that we should support the Palestinian people because they are the victims. And finally, and I apologize for taking longer than expected, but these points need to be explained properly. We need to understand this in depth to be able to address this issue to our communities. I will end finally with this point. When the Zionists who support Israel in this country claim that the resistance axis is evil, namely led by the Islamic Republic of Iran, and that anyone who defends the just resistance that is led by the Islamic Republic is a terrorist or a terrorist sympathizer. I ask the American people if any of them know the first name of Imam al-Khomeini. The man named Ruh Allah, who was named after Jesus, who created the international solidarity and resistance against Israeli occupation, who when was exiled from Iran, when there was a secular democratic leader put in there who was removed by the United States through Operation Ajax, and in his place the Shah was placed. When this Imam Khomeini was put into France during Christmas, he went to his Christian neighbors and passed to them roses and passed to them gifts. And the American people have more in common with Imam al-Khomeini than they ever will have with the billionaire imperialists on Wall Street and on Capitol Hill. I end by quoting former Marine Mike Preisner, who says the ruling class the billionaires who profit from human suffering, care only about expanding their wealth, controlling the world economy, understand that their power lies only in their ability to convince us that war, oppression, and exploitation is in our interest. They understand that their wealth is dependent on their ability to convince the working class to die to control the market of another country. And convincing us to kill and die is based on their ability to make us think that we are somehow superior. And that the poor in this country have more in common with the Palestinian, Iraqi, Lebanese, and all oppressed people in the world than they will ever have with those standing with Israel. Thank you very much. I will welcome now our next speaker, my brother Tariq Bazzi. Please welcome him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free! Free, free Palestine! 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 Genocide, genocide, you are causing genocide! Genocide, genocide, you are causing genocide! Genocide, genocide, you are causing genocide! Genocide, genocide, you are causing genocide!
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before I say anything, if I can please request from everybody to recite Surah Al-Fatiha for the more than 2,000 martyrs that have returned to their Lord as a result of the Israeli onslaught in Palestine.
Make sure you talk in this black mic and you gotta talk close to it, that's ours.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد والثناء لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه المنتجبين وعلى جميع المجاهدين في سبيل الله منذ آدم إلى قيام يوم الدين. Brothers and sisters, respected scholars and elders, friends, and to quote Malcolm X, we definitely will see some enemies. At the very onset of the Israeli onslaught of the Palestinian people, the office of this senile man sitting in the White House released a statement where they said local and federal law enforcement partners are closely monitoring for any domestic threats. Alhamdulillah, we're smart enough to read between the lines, and we can see that this is nothing but a tactic to dehumanize those who speak out against the corruption and the injustice so that they can legitimize and justify harassing us and violating our rights. They want to criminalize dissent. They want to criminalize any counter narrative that goes against the hegemonic propaganda that they spew. They want to criminalize the Palestinian flag that you guys are holding. They want to criminalize our voices. They want to criminalize the very truth itself. Day by day, our God-given rights are being encroached upon, violated, and eroded. When will we stand up and fight back? It will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves. They attack the victim. And then the criminal who attacked the victim accuses the victim of attacking him. This is American justice. This is American democracy. And those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. These are not my words. These are the words of Malcolm X 60 years ago. And they apply just as perfectly today. What does that tell you? That tells you that in this country, with this system, personalities change, but the policies don't change. So we tell the federal agents that are watching us that we won't be intimidated. Because A life of persecution is better than a life of slavery to some low-life, corrupt thugs like them. We are those people. We are those people. الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم. We are the ones who they told us that everybody has gathered against us, so we should fear them.
لبيك يا أقصى. لبيك يا أقصى. لبيك يا أقصى. لبيك يا أقصى. لبيك يا أقصى.
فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. All of the fear mongering did nothing but increase our faith, and we said that Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best protector. And now that we're here, let us set the record straight so that each and every one of us understands what we're here for and what we're not here for. We're not here to sing and wave flags and have a good time. We're not here to condemn the killing of innocent civilians on both sides. We're not here to chant empty slogans, because when we say free Palestine and when we say from the river to the sea, we understand what that means. We know who will free Palestine, we know how they will free Palestine, and we know from whom they will free Palestine.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea.
We're also not here to condemn Biden. We're not here to condemn Trump. We're not here to condemn Obama. Because just as Israel commits genocide under Biden's administration, they did so under Trump's administration, they did so under Obama's administration. Because we know better than to criticize the personality and to leave the system intact and to let it off the hook. We're not here to condemn Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, or Smotrich. We are here to condemn U.S. imperialism and its genocidal, settler, colonial, murderous extension that is called the State of Israel.
Free, free Palestine! 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 Free, free Palestine!
And now the devils in the media will take a sound bite and they'll say, anti-America rally in Dearborn. No, we're not anti-America. We're anti-imperialism. We're anti-oppression. We're anti-colonialism. It's not that we hate the government. It's not that we hate the government. It's that the government hates us. It's why they surveil us. It's why they spy on us. It's why they harass us. It's why they violate our rights. It's why they steal our taxes. It's why they deny us health care and affordable housing. It's why they pollute the environment. It's why they keep us forever in debt. And it's why they wage wars for the profits of corporate billionaires with the blood of the innocent human beings all across the world. I'll tell you what we are here for. We're here to mourn our shuhada. And we are here unapologetically and unequivocally to defend the honor, the sanctity, and the legitimacy of the steadfast, armed Palestinian resistance.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
And how dare these corporate media snakes and these prostitute politicians say the word terrorism and point their filthy fingers anywhere but in the mirror. They want a condemnation of terrorism from us, we will give them a condemnation of terrorism. We condemn terrorism. We condemn the US sanctions that affect 1/3 of the world's population and that have killed hundreds of thousands of people, including 500,000 Iraqi children. And when Madeleine Albright, la'natullahi alayha, was asked if it was worth it, she said, yes, it was worth it. That's terrorism. We condemn the post 9/11 US wars that spread across 85 countries, that displaced 38 million people, and that exterminated the lives of 4 million human beings. That is terrorism. We condemn violent Zionist militias expelling 800,000 Palestinians from their homes, destroying 530 villages and towns. Deir Yassin, when they killed 254 people, including 35 pregnant women. Yes, we will condemn terrorism. When Israel has invaded every single one of its neighbors and occupied their land. Yes, we condemn terrorism. When Zionist snipers executed 183 innocent, peaceful protesters during the Great March of Return, when they sniped 940 children, and then they bragged about it on Twitter, and they said, we know where every bullet landed. Yes, we condemn terrorism. So don't speak to us about terrorism, because we know it better than anybody else, because we have been on the receiving end of US Zionist terrorism for generations. They've perpetrated violence and terror all across the world and right here in the streets of the United States. And then they have the audacity to try to dictate to us who is a terrorist and who is not a terrorist. And then they expect us to shut our mouths and go along with it. يَأْبَى اللَّهُ لَنَا ذَلِكَ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Allah refuses for such a humiliation and a disgrace to be upon us. But the tides are turning, and so we have to beware. The Zionist enemy and its US imperialist backers, they know that the tides have turned. They know that the public sentiment is shifting towards Palestine. And as much as they try to suppress our voices, they know that they can't do it much longer. So what will they do? Take a look at history. They will try to embrace us. They will tell us, yes, the Israeli occupation is brutal and it's tragic. And then when they gain our sentiments and they gain our trust, then they'll hijack the movement. Then they'll reframe and they'll reshape the framework of what our resistance and our struggle is. And they'll start talking about equal rights for Palestine, equal rights for the Palestinians, equal rights between Palestinians and Israelis. They'll talk about working towards peace. And then they'll talk again about condemning the targeting of innocent civilians on both sides. And the result will be that they will have neutralized the only hope that Palestine has, which is its armed resistance. So don't let these celebrity politicians and activists fool you. The question is very simple. How can the problem be the solution? How can the same governments and the same global institutions that brought us imperialism and colonialism, how can they solve imperialism and colonialism for us? They have stood against us time and time again. They have danced on our graves time and time again. And yet some of us still believe them. Some of us still trust the system. Allah told us, وَدُّوا مَا عَنِدْتُمْ. They wish that you would be struggling. قَدْ بَدَتِ الْبَغْضَاءُ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَمَا تُخْفِي صُدُورُهُمْ أَكْبَرُ. Hatred has come out of their mouths. and what is in their hearts is even worse. Don't let anybody play two sides of the coin and fool us. If you're pro-Palestine, then you're pro-armed resistance. And if you dissociate from that and you throw that under the bus, then you have dissociated from the cause. And if you are anti-Israel, then you better reject all of Israel, its military, its violent, racist settlers, and its entire existence. As-sakitu akhur radi. If you are silent, then it's as if you are pleased with it. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ مَعَنَا كَانَ عَلَيْنَا. If you're not with us, you're against us. Brothers and sisters, our role and our responsibility is very clear. We are soldiers in the information war. Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi said, أفضل الجهاد كلمة حق عند سلطان جائر. The greatest form of resistance in the way of Allah is to speak a word of truth to the face of a corrupt tyrant. Find me in the world today a tyrant more corrupt than the US empire and its Zionist extension. But there is something more fundamental than that. And that is our spiritual self-building and preparation. When Malcolm X rahmatullah alayhi said, we're trying to get on God's side so that God will be on our side, he was right. He took the truth of the Quran and he adopted it to the modern age. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, in tansurullah yansurkum wa yuthabbit aqdamakum. O you who believe, if you support Allah, Allah will support you and He will make firm your feet. Our faith, our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our strength. Rasulullah said, Man arada an yakuna aqwa an-nas falyatawakkal ala Allah. If you want to be the strongest person, then rely on Allah. It's about time we realized it because our enemies know it. They know that godless, worldly, materialistic people are easier to exploit, they're easier to manipulate, and they're easier to control because they have the carrot and the stick. They have the wealth and they have the punishment. If we are attached to this world, then we will sell our principles and our values to gain this world. And if we gain this world, we will back down from our principles and our values out of fear of losing this world. They don't want us to be people of faith, people of real faith, not people who sit in the corner and pray, people who rely on God, people who are defiant to the oppressors, and people who are detached from this world. That's real faith. The brother recited the ayah of the Quran, فَلْيُقَاتِلْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يَشْرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا بِالْآخِرَةِ. Let those fight in the way of Allah who sell this world for the life of the hereafter. وَمَنْ يُقَاتِلْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ فَيُقْتَلْ أَوْ يَغْلِبْ فَسَوْفَ نُؤْتِيهِ أَجْرًا عَظِيمًا. Whoever fights in the way of Allah and is killed or is victorious, then Allah will soon give him a great reward. Why? How could the enemy bear to fight soldiers with this mentality? قُلْ هَلْ تَرَبَّصُونَ بِنَا إِلَّا إِحْدَى الْحُسْنَيَيْنِ. Do you await anything for us except one of the two good things, either victory or martyrdom? محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and those who are with him are fierce against the disbelievers, and they are merciful amongst each other. This is exactly the type of mentality that the enemy does not want us to have. And so when we always ask, what more can we do? What more can we do? So long as we haven't established this foundation, how can we move forward? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Free, free Palestine!
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 Next, we will bring up our beloved teacher and scholar, Sheikh Osama Abdul Ghani. May we welcome him to the podium with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Genocide, genocide! You are causing genocide!
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 أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Brothers and sisters, when we remember this day, on the last day, when we're standing before God, we will be so grateful that He allowed us to be here, to be standing on the right side of truth, to be with the oppressed and stand against the zalimeen. Brothers and sisters, we are very fortunate. We are lucky to be alive in the era of Imam Khomeini, where we witness these kinds of victories. Brothers and sisters, the operation Al-Aqsa storm, that day that it took place was definitely what we call Ayyamullah, one of the days of God. It's true, the brothers who were there, they planned, they trained, they made every effort, blood, sweat, and tears. But they will be the first to tell you it was the help of God that made that social miracle come true. And we were able to witness this by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So first of all, we thank Allah for being here. We also thank all of those who resisted and made this a possibility. And we cannot forget those who made this a possibility with their blood, sweat, and tears, like Shaheed Qasim Soleimani. He is the one who provided the Palestinians with the means of self-defense. So he... Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He is definitely enjoying the rewards of his assisting the oppressed. Now, brothers and sisters, my speech today, inshallah, will be brief. I will try to divide my talk into 3 parts. The first one is a message to our oppressed brothers and sisters in Palestine, both the mujahideen and also those families who are suffering under the brutal Israeli occupation and their tyranny. The second part of this speech is a message to the Zionists, both the occupiers, but also their friends and their allies. And the last one is a message to all the Muslims and the people of conscience around the world. What is it that we can do to help? So first of all, I will say to our brothers and sisters in Palestine that Allah is on your side. We first address those lions who are defending not just Palestine, but they are fighting on behalf of the entire ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We tell those brave youth that you have been granted favor by Allah, that you were able to face the Yazids and the Shimmers of the time. And Allah has said in the Holy Quran, أُذِنَ لِلَّذِينَ يُقَاتَلُونَ بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا. God has given permission to those who war has been waged upon. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى نَصْرِهِمْ لَقَدِيرٌ. Definitely Allah is well capable of providing you with assistance, and victory is yours, inshallah. So you are in our thoughts and our prayers. We are praying for you. And Imam Sajjad, the son of Imam Hussein, taught us how to pray for those who are on the front lines. He taught us that famous dua for the Ahlul Thughur. We are praying for you. To the families, those Palestinian men, women, and children, those fathers, those mothers, those babies, we say that our hearts bleed for you. We know, we can only imagine how difficult it is to be facing the world's most savage, depraved enemy, to be in the world's largest open-air prison, to have nowhere to run and hide, and have them carpet bomb you and tell you to leave when they control land, air, and sea. We know it must be difficult. Our hearts bleed for you. But we say to you that the way that your youth have chosen, the way that your honorable soldiers have chosen, is the only path to victory. So we ask you to be patient. We ask you to take inspiration from Imam Hussein. It's true that right now Israel has cut you off from land, air, and sea. They have openly said there is no electricity, there is no food, there is no water. They are trying to starve you to death. But we tell you, remember Imam Hussein, when he and his family were surrounded by enemies, when they cut them off from water, then Imam Hussein famously said, Hayhat minna dhilla.
Hayhat minna dhilla. Hayhat minna dhilla. Hayhat minna dhilla. Hayhat minna dhilla.
So encourage your youth to continue. You resist and Allah is with you. Victory is on your side. You will be victorious. Yes, this is difficult, but those of you who are killed are shuhada, and inshallah your reward is with God. The second part of my talk is for Israel, particularly the Zionist occupiers. I have some special words for you. The first is this: make no mistake, this is your fault. As Malcolm X said, the chickens have come home to roost. You are going to catch it, and it is absolutely your fault. How dare you say these are unprovoked attacks? Is 75 years of occupation, is that not enough? Is 16 years of a stranglehold on Gaza, is that not enough? How dare you say self-defense? No, you know the law, you know the law well. Under international law, occupied, colonized people have the right to the God-given right. We say more than that, have the right to resistance. We're saying under international law, they have the right to armed resistance. We say more than that, the God-given right and responsibility to resist by any means necessary.
Hayhat minna dhilla. Hayhat minna dhilla. Hayhat minna dhilla.
They have the right to self-determination. The solution is very easy. Allow the original inhabitants of Palestine and their children, the diaspora, those Palestinians who've been driven out, whatever their deen, whatever their religion, whatever their madhab, allow them to come back and choose a political system. One man, one vote. That's the solution. But they have the God-given right to self-determination. And yes, they will fight until Allah grants them that victory. How dare you compare them to how dare you compare Hamas to Daesh, to ISIS? You had ISIS in your hospitals. Who created ISIS? That's right, Donald Trump told us. ISIS was founded by Obama. So you created ISIS, you helped ISIS, you are ISIS, but you're much, much worse than ISIS. ISIS can only kill with the knife, with the sword. You carpet bomb. You are like those shooters, those deranged individuals who go into schools and shoot people and live stream it. You announce this. You publicize this. You demolish homes. You kill people. You are much worse than ISIS. You say that they took hostages? You say that the Palestinians took, 100, 150 hostages? You have how many Palestinian hostages in your prisons? How many women and children there's just detention. Many of them don't even have trials. You have them as hostages. You are a rogue nation. You don't accept any international laws. And then you say that they took hostages to liberate their own? And now you have 2.3 million hostages. You are the scum of the earth. So to the Zionists, we know that you think the Palestinians are subhuman. You think all of us are subhuman. The Zionists think this. We're not saying Jews, because there's no way that this is the deen of Moses. But the Zionists do believe, and they say that we are dealing with human animals. When they conduct an operation like this, the government officials say we are mowing the grass. They consider the Palestinians to not even be human. We say no, all of us are the children of Adam. I want to say this to their friends, to the friends of the Zionist occupiers, to the friends of the colonialists. Tell your friends the jig is up. Tell your friends to get out. You know, all of us know, this time it's different. If you really care about Israel, tell them to get out. Tell them it's over. The Titanic is sinking.
هيهات منا الذلة هيهات منا الذلة هيهات منا الذلة.
So this is the answer. The colonialist, apartheid regime of Israel is unsustainable. Either you have two choices. Either you take your beating like a man. You leave the occupied territories, back up, call off your dogs, and accept a humiliating, disgraceful defeat, or you double down. If you double down and go berserk, you are risking bringing all of the resistance right on your head. Your end is happening no matter what. It's worse if you go berserk.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Finally, I would like to address all of the Muslims and the people of conscience. What is our duty? Brothers and sisters, your first duty is the clarification jihad. except the front lines of the clarification jihad. What is the clarification jihad? Each and every one of you have conversations. People are confused. They don't know what's going on. Get online, talk in schools. Whenever you get a chance, have conversations. Explain who is the occupier, who is the colonialist, who is practicing apartheid. Speak, talk. Make sure, brothers and sisters, that you learn their talking points and you reverse them. Truth is on the side of the oppressed. Make sure that you don't allow anyone to take advantage of the humanity of the Palestinians. When you speak slowly. Why is it that an Israeli baby be worth more than a Palestinian baby? Why is it that this many Palestinian children be murdered and it be okay? You see, there's a lie they want you to believe, that a Zionist life is worth more than a Palestinian life. You explain to them, they are human beings. They are God's creation. No one can take their lives. And an oppressed people will definitely stand up to resist. So you don't allow that to happen. Share the victories of the resistance and their acts of humanity. Make sure you share the oppression of the Zalimeen and let them know who are the oppressors. Between us as Muslims, make sure you preserve Islamic unity. Sunnis be Sunni, Shia be Shia. Unite on who your enemies are. Don't allow them, because of our differences in aqidah, in a belief, that we fight one another. You preserve Islamic unity and you push forward. Everyone needs to be unified. People of the world need to be unified. Talk to those who are silent. There are people right now who you know, good people. Why are they silent? Why isn't everyone speaking out? Each one of you have a voice. You need to speak. Talk to those who are not speaking. The issue of Palestine is a big test. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the last day, those who didn't speak out have sided with the Zalim. You talk to them and convince them to speak out. I want to mention two last points. One of them is the importance of rallies like this. As you know, the Palestinian resistance, they called for us to gather on this Friday. It matters when we join. Spiritually, it matters. You guys look this up in Nahj al-Balagha. Spiritually, on the last day, you're going to see the reward of standing here. Imam Ali was coming back from a battle. When he was coming back from a battle, one of the brothers told him, he said, I wish my brother had been here to witness your victory. The Imam said, was his heart with us? Was his heart with us? The man said, yes, his heart was with us. Then the Imam said this, your brother was present in the battle. For some of you, brothers and sisters, and the Imam said, and so were others who will be born later. For some of you, coming here means you are trying to do as much as you can for the Palestinians. That means on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it'll be written that you were there resisting. So rallies like this are very important. And then the last point is remembering the 12th Imam, right? The verse of the Quran told us to remember, or that the righteous would inherit the earth. As the brother said in the previous talk, we need to be righteous. We need to be with God. What you're seeing in Israel is those rebelling against God at the highest level. But you and I don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. We have to make sure that we are righteous and we are with God. We end with salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Sheikh Osama, for your words of wisdom. Now, if everybody could leave your signs here in this area, and we are going to pray together after a salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Also, we had put over here all of the real children who've been killed, the Palestinian children, who you can see their photos and verify their stories and are not figments of your imagination that the West has to make up to justify their wars. I know the images are graphic, but we need to see these images so we truly understand that we're not out here just to gather, but we're out here to condemn true terrorism, which is Zionist imperialism. Thank you very much.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Genocide, genocide! You're creating genocide!
السلام عليكم سماحة الشيخ. رأيكم؟
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلائق أجمعين محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين. نحن في هذه الليلة الحزينة نقف تضامنا مع شعبنا المظلوم في فلسطين في غزة، ولكننا سوف لن نكتفي بتحرير فلسطين، وإنما سوف نطمع ونتمكن ونسعى لتحرير أرضنا في الجولان في سوريا وفي جنوب لبنان ومزارع شبعة. نحن هنا مع الحق لأن الله مع الحق، ولأن الحق هو الذي يسود، وإن الله جل وعلا قال في كتابه الكريم: كتب الله لأغلبن أنا ورسلي، وأن الله تعالى لا يخلف الميعاد. هذا وعد وعدنا الله به حينما قال في القرآن الكريم: وإذا جاء وعد الآخرة، ها قد جاءكم وعد الآخرة أيها المغتصبون أيها الصهيونيون، لقد جاء وعد الآخرة على يد عباد الله وعلى يد جند الله وعلى يد حزب الله، فأينما تذهبون سوف يحاربكم الله ولو تخبأتم وراء برج ووراء جدر مشيدة ووراء قلع، لأن الله مع الحق وإن الحق مع الله، ونحن قادمون أينما تذهبون. أريد أن أقول I wanted to say a few words for the President Biden, that it is so shame you claim you are Catholic, but did Jesus tell you to fight with the oppressor? Did Jesus tell you to lie to the press that the Muslims have beheaded and butchered 40 children? Did Jesus tell you to deny 2 billion people of the children of Ishmael, of Ibrahim, of Muhammad? Did Jesus tell you to take side? Did Jesus tell you to send your foreign minister to Israel to defend the oppressor? Did Jesus tell you to send your defense minister to send a bomb to kill the innocent in Gaza? Wallah, God and Jesus and Al-Mahdi and Muhammad are going to tell you and to teach you a lesson, and very soon watch the soldiers of God coming to liberate the land of Palestine. Very soon the believers are coming to fight the non-believers, and if you are taking the side of the non-believers, you are going to be defeated, no matter if you are a president of a superpower or what. God is coming. جيش محمد قادم، والحمد لله الذي نصر عباده، إذ قال جل وعلا في كتابه الكريم: كتب الله لأغلبن أنا ورسلي إن الله غالب على أمره قل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا. يا أيها المؤمنون في غزة صبرا اصبروا وصابروا وثابتوا فإن الله ناصركم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you very much. Thank you. أبو هادي تفضل.
I'm going to answer your question and say a small word.
Yeah. تفضل.
Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Our heart, our soul is with the Palestinian people and everybody that is there. And one thing I do not understand is how can the airplane carrier from the USA goes to the Middle East and goes through only 2 places. It's either the Strait of Hormuz or either the Strait of Gibraltar. And the width of the Strait of Gibraltar is only 8 miles. And the other one is only 30 miles. How can the Arab people, the Arab country, let this happen? This just makes no sense whatsoever. One more thing. You hear a lot of people talking about civilian, Israeli civilian. Those are settlers. Those are Zionists. They are using the beautiful religion of Jews. Just like the Taliban did with the Islam, and just like the Crusaders did with the Christian. We are all one people. We are all the brothers and sisters of Adam and Eve. We are all the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael. We should all unite, because the Arab countries will be divided again. Just like they divided us to 26 countries back 40 years, they will divide us again if we don't stand together. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Wahad. Thank you very much.